All right, guys. We're gonna have to have a little conversation because a few people are commenting on a lot of my old posts that I post on YouTube on like these older affirmative action video. And if you don't know, the Supreme Court a couple days ago just made affirmative action illegal. So they had a lawsuit and the Supreme Court has agreed that affirmative action is racist and it should not be allowed. So they struck down affirmative action. Um so I'm getting a lot of comments on my old videos that I post like that I commented 2 to 4 years ago. And I didn't even know that affirmative action got overthrown until, a lot of people are commenting on my video. And if you are here, you're like, oh, he commented on my video. There's a lot of videos that a lot of people been talking about. So there, it's not just you, right? So there's a lot of shaming languages that is being thrown around, not just by to me or by just random people, but by the media, saying that like Asians or who are fighting against affirmative action are not self-aware, because I think the argument is that even though Asian makes up 5% of the population, they make up like 22 to 25% of Harvard like admissions or something like that. And see, this is just kind of like and then they just kind of tell you that you lack awareness because a minority, like still able to get into with 22%. Now, if it was actually fair, it would be a lot more Asians, because Asians are they gravitate into academics. That's just what Asians do. That's how we raise our kids, right? I got kicked down the steps. I am half Asian. My mom is very Asian. I got kicked down the step from the second floor to the first floor because I got a C in math, right? And that's just kind of just the culture that we have in the Asian community, right? Like, and you'll be like, oh, like everyone in like the non-Asian community, like, oh, no, she just did that. Oh my gosh. And then like another, if you tell that to another Asian, you'd be like, that's right. My mom would have done worse. It was like, oh, you got off easy. You got kicked down the steps from rolling down, boom, 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 from the second floor to the first floor. Psst, you got off easy, And it's just one of those things that it's like the Asians community has been very, 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 very like serious about the education. So like I've been in the military for around 7 years now, and I will tell you, Asian in the military is very few. There's not even 5% of Asian in that community, and the Asian that make up it is probably like is Filipinos, and that's about it. Like, and you have some Korean here and there, and there are some other Asian who's trying to get citizenship, but it is not the majority. And and I will tell you, there's there's a lot of white, because this country is very white, and there's a lot of black, because that's just kind of what a lot of black individual would do to get out of poverty. So like I like even like like you can't just say like, oh well, we should have affirmative action for Asian in the military. They should be able to get into the military easier because because look, the blacks, they're only 14% of the population, but they made up 50% of the people in the military, which is pretty close estimation, if I would say so, from the people I meet. So like, see, now if I were to say that, that would be considered racist. But now when you discriminate against Asian, then that's not racist, and then the Asian that has problem with it lacks self-awareness. That kind of shaming language. And I'm gonna make this quick video. I'm not gonna make it too long. But you have a lot of people in the media, like they're shaming Asians, they're shaming white people for bringing this up, and saying that affirmative action is the bad thing. Even the president, like, having such a hard time with what the Supreme Court have ruled, because he said that, well, all these black applicants that got in to Harvard or whatever, they they are qualified to get in. Look, the qualification score and the actual admission score, they don't even match, right? Like, to qualify to get into Harvard, you need a 2.0 GPA from high school, and you only need to take the MCATs, right? Like, it that qualify you, so you can be like an average or like a crap student with a 2.0 GPA, and you can still be qualified to get into Harvard. Does not mean you deserve to be in Harvard, nor should you be in Harvard, because you're just going to hurt yourself. And this comes to my next point, that a lot of people in, like, they got in because of affirmative action, not black individual or Latino individual that got in on their own merits with excellent score. We're not talking about them. I'm talking about people who got in just because of affirmative action. They get into school, with lower SAT scores, with lower GPA score, and they just couldn't handle it. They are usually ranked at the bottom 20%, because you put, like, you bring the standards for Asian, which is the highest, because there's a lot of Asians in these really high elite schools. You put these Asians who are like the top of the top Asians, because like the Asian has a culture of studying, and to be in Harvard, because we get discriminated against, and to get into Harvard, we need to get higher and higher score each year to get into Harvard. You are competing with the best of the best of the best Asian, and you're competing with the best of the best of the best white individuals, and then you put like black individual in there, and they're just like, they can't compete with these guys, right? You take, like, like these they would have done well in another university. When you put them in these very elite school, you learn the exact same thing as if you were to go to community college, but then the exams are harder, the homework are harder, right? Because they're trying to challenge these top Asian, top white individuals that got in. So now, like, when you're an average black individual, even if you're a top 10%, because like to get into like these top school, you need to be top 1% of Asian, you need to be top 2% of white individual. So now now you bring in the top 10% of black, and you expect the top 10% of like black individual to compete with the top 1% of Asians. They can't do that. So usually when you see them in medical school, in like law school, or even in regular school, they're in the bottom 20%. And like these guys, if they get into like these top school for their undergraduate, they have to switch major. So they might start out in like STEM degree. They might always be wanted to go into engineering or mathematics or physics, or something that's like, these really difficult like classes, or these very difficult degrees that would be very well paying degree that they're dreamt of going since they were young. And they get into like these engineering program, and they can't handle it in these really, really top tier school. So then they have to switch to like an easier degree, like art or something different, that they didn't even want to do, but they just have to be there because they got into Princeton or Harvard or Yale, and they just be like, okay, you know what? I'll still get a good job if I can get this school name onto my degree. And that's the wrong reason for going to school. So this is something that's, I think it impacts black individual negatively, more than anything else as well. And like it will help them when they first got the admission letter. They can just have a little party with their parents. Oh yeah, we're black. We got oppressed in the past. Now we got into Yale. Now we got into Harvard. And then they go into Yale and Harvard. They don't deserve to be there, and then they fail out, right? And you need to understand something, that this is very, very true. Because when you look at the stats, and I'm going to tell you stats. I don't have the stats with me right now because I'm doing this quick video to respond, to make this little thing about what the Supreme Court said, and a few people who have been like having such a strong like argument for affirmative action, that affirmative action is there so that people and school can have this diverse like pamphlet, that they can show like school with like all the colors, and they're so diverse and stuff, but they all have to think the same way, or you're going to be canceled, right? The diversity of skin color, not diversity of ideas in these schools usually. But yeah, that's the only reason. They don't care that these kids getting into school, that they don't deserve to be there, that they can't compete with these students, and they could have done a lot better. See that case that I talked about, that these kids that going into engineering in Harvard and MIT, and they can't flunk out, they would have done well if they go to like a state school, right? They go to a state school, they go to Penn State University or something, and they can like actually compete with the kids that there because they deserve to be there, or they go to a community college for engineering, right? So like there is two scenarios. if you are a if you are a if you are a engineer student that went to Harvard, and you are an engineer student that went to a community college, and the person who dropped out of Harvard cannot call themselves an engineer, right? But the person who graduate from a community college with an engineering degree can still call themselves an engineer, right? So it does not matter, right? Like you're hurting these guys who's going to Harvard, because you know that these kids, they're gonna aim higher than what they deserve, right? Because you aim for the moon, or you aim for the star hoping to land on the moon, kind of thing, right? So you apply for Harvard, get rejected, you apply to another school. Oh, I got into Purdue, or I got into, I didn't get into Stanford, but I got into Penn State or Ohio State. Maybe I didn't get into those. I got into community college, and then I eventually go into Rutgers. It's something that, like for myself as well. I got into Penn State. I got in because I went to the high school near Penn State University. So they have this little thing where they're like, you can come in with lower score. I went in, I couldn't compete with the people there, so I had to drop out. And then, like, I joined the military to change myself around, and then I went to a community college for engineering. So I finished 2 years, got my associate degree, then went to Liberty University for the rest of my degree, and I got my physics degree. Right? Like, it's like like this is something that, like, it hurts. Affirmative action hurts everybody. It hurts everybody. Right? Black, Asians, white, because the Asians that deserve to be there, who just got bumped up because they're at the wait list. They're at the wait list level, but they're not, like, good enough to be there, like, full admission. These guys in the wait list could have been there, right? But they got kicked out and they have to go somewhere else. It hurts the Asians, it hurt the whites, same things, but it also hurt the minorities who's trying to get in, because they get into these schools and they can't compete with the people who are there, right? They cannot do that, right? And then they have to drop out into something that's not really what they want to study to begin with, but they do an easier degree, which don't pay as well, but they have that Harvard or Yale name, so they can use that to get there. But that's not why you should go to college for. You're supposed to go to college to learn the trades that you want to learn, so you can help society. And if you're going there for STEM and you can't compete, and that's STEM is the most dropout field, you're not a doctor anymore, right? And then, like, it hurts the graduate level even more, because like, if you don't get in to, like, a doctorate program, like, like, into, like, a STEM degree, like engineering or whatever, or physics, in, like, undergraduate level, you can go to a community college, because there's plenty of colleges for that. But then when you go into, like, these big name school, like big names, what am I saying? These graduate level degree, like medical, like an MD school, like, or DO or law school, where there are only so many school in this country, right? Like MD and DO school is being controlled by the AMA, the association, or the America Medical Association, where they put a stranglehold on, like, how many medical school can be open in a certain year and all these things. So, like, there's not a lot. So, like, if you get rejected from medical school because your score is not high enough, because you're Asian, because affirmative action, but the black student who can get in, and they go into this medical school because they take your slots, right? Like you can't go somewhere else to learn to become a doctor, right? Because there's only one way. It's the same thing for law school. That has ABA, like the same kind of association, where they only give certain, like, law degree to, like, law certificate to law school. So, like, you can't go somewhere else, so now you can't go. So that hurts graduate level even more. It hurts a lot more. So like, it hurts everybody, man. It hurts everybody. And I'll read some statistic out for you. I don't have it on it, but we can do another video to do a statistic. Maybe we can do a shorts to do our statistics. So statistic is at the end. So the statistic, and I've been listening to this quite a bit, is that, like, when you listen to like left-leaning news media, they're just completely absent from there. They'll use statistic that really, like what I say was that, like, 5% of the population is Asian, but the 28% are in in Harvard or something like that, or 22% are in Harvard, right? But you're looking for equality of outcome, not equality of opportunity. That's are two different things. So, like, when you look at those kind of statistics, Asians apply to these schools at a higher rate. Asian makes these type of score at a higher rate because that's just their culture. The culture of Asians is all about studying. And if you don't study well enough, then you're gonna get beaten to death. You're gonna get kicked down the steps and stuff like that. And I have another story where I have a friend who likes to play piano, right? And his mom would listen to him play piano, and if he gets one key wrong, if he do something wrong, she would slam the piano cover onto his fingers, right? This is just normal. If you go to an Asian community and you tell them this story, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's normal. But then if you go to any other community and you tell them this story, they'll be like, oh, this person just abused their child. How dare she? That's this completely different culture. We are a culture of valuing education above everything else. When I got into the military, my mom did not want me to go into the military. You're right. And when I dropped out of college first, she could not, it's the biggest failure of her life for me to go into military and me dropping out of school. Now, it's not the same for other community because my white grandparents, they were like, yeah, let's go to the military, serve your country kind of thing. It's a different culture, right? It's a different culture and you just need to understand that just because, just maybe like that Asian go into, okay, I'm making this too long. I'm ranting. So let's go to the statistics. Okay, this is the statistic that they don't tell you in the media. This is the one that matters the most. If you are the top 10% of students in the country, right? And we're going to break this down by race, you have 12% chance of getting into colleges as Asians. As a white individual, if you're top 10% in the entire country, then you have 15% chance of getting into like Harvard, like Ivy League. This is what we're talking about. You have 15% chance of getting into to Harvard, as a white student. If you're Latino, you have 30% chance, 30 to 33% chance, right? And if you're a black individual, you have a 56% chance of getting into this type of school, right? And the statistics really boil down to that, like, you have more chance of getting into Harvard as in black individual that is in the top 60%, so you're like in the 40% range, than if you are the top 10% performing Asian in the country, right? So this statistic is insane because if you are below average as a black individual, you can get into Harvard at a higher rate than if you are an Asian at the top 10% performing rate, right, of in the entire country, right? There's more Asian in school because we're the culture that value education than anything else, right? We've been oppressed in this country just as much, right? There's the internment camp, there's the railroad that we have to build, right? So we've been oppressed, but we just kept on studying. We're just that culture, right? That's why a lot of good things come out of Japan, right? Very high quality cars, very high quality engineering product come out of Japan and Korea because that's just our culture, right? It's not that Asians are smarter by race. It's just that we're gonna get beaten a lot more than you guys if we don't perform as well, okay? So it's just how we operate, right? I'm gonna make a shorter video. Maybe we'll make a short. We'll go over the stats. And this is already going to 20 minutes. All right, peace, guys. And if you have any questions, you have any comments, you disagree, agree, leave it down below and we can kind of talk about it. I'll make a shorter video, I promise. This is just to address the things. I got a lot of comments, so I just want to make a video to address it. And I know it's a little bit of a rant. I'll do another video. We'll script it better. Put a like, subscribe.